Welcome to Start Lines and Swag Bags. The airing of this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not intended to replace advice from professional medical or training staff. Thank you for listening and your support of the Flying Pig Project.
Hello and happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of Start Lines and Swag Bags. I will let you know if you listened to the episode that dropped on November 10th. I think it was called Flying Monkeys, Cheer Tunnels, and Heartbreak. It was because I talked about interviewing someone that day, and my computer's drive decided to announce it was full, and it broke out the recording. And as I explained in that episode, I lost two completely unedited recordings, and I was devastated. But as I also said, I have such amazing guests, and so one of them is back today, the one who actually experienced the crash on that day. And as we're recording this, I'm going to do my best to not think about the fact that we just saw each other like 3 hours ago at the Fast Track Xtra Mile cross country race. Dan, welcome to your second try.
Oh, hey, more the merrier. Nice to be here. How are you?
I have to tell you. So this morning, of course, we were at the Xtra Mile Fast Track cross country event. You were running. I was not running. I was taking pictures with Josh as part of, the photography side of my business. And I hurt so bad. I hurt and I didn't even run. But from chasing you all down and running all over that field, which is awful, I am more tired than any of the runners.
I heard as well. Still kind of hurting.
How did you do?
Not great. It was, but I kind of expected it. It's always my worst race of the year, and it's hard to compare because it's different terrain, and my body doesn't enjoy running on uneven, ground, wearing spikes that I only pull out once a year for this race. Has no cushions, no bouncy. So I put up with it because it's fun, but I will never run it well, that's for sure.
But if I'm not mistaken, or I'm not going to say that because I am mistaken. Your team didn't take first.
I have no idea. I don't even know what place I came in. I barely know what time I came in, let alone at my team score.
No, because Jonathan walked over to Matt and said, "Matt, you won. Your team took first." And then he goes, and Matt's like, "I'm not on that team." I was like, oh, whoops. All right. So introduce yourself and share anything you'd like to tell the world about you.
Okay. Well, I'm Dan. I go by Dan. My Korean name, which is my legal name, is Yoon-suk, but I shortened that to Yoon to make it easier. And then to make it even easier than that, I go by Dan. So most of you guys know me by that. Call me any of those things you want. Doesn't matter. I'm a dad of two girls, 5 and 7. Really fun age. Obviously, I was a husband then as well. And then I'm a runner. Like to run. So I ran back in high school, college, took a 10-year break, came back to running thanks to COVID, and still here doing it. So loving it. And then, in terms of a job, if you will, I'm a mechanical engineer. So that's what I do. It's not who I am, but anyway, pays the bills. I like it well enough. It's not too bad. So that's kind of my intro.
So, I'm laughing because, of course, we tried to do this, 2 days ago, 3 days ago? I mean, it was very, yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah, I might have been.
Yesterday. And we talked about how your job does not define you. And I say, what do you do? And, I run, I do this, and it's not always the job. But your name, you do go by you and you go by Dan, but I still remember the story when we all know you as Dan.
Mhm.
I think everybody in the Road Club does know you as Dan. But a lot of us also would know you as Yoon because that's how your race results normally show up because that's, of
Yes.
course, your registration. But many years ago, I was at F3 with Rick Sandusky in the little booth there, and they were looking for you, but they were calling and you did not respond. And I was like, Rick, try calling Dan. And he did, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know my own name sometimes. I was probably half dead after the race, but good call. Good call on that.
It was after the race. So I will give you that. All right. So you're on here because you were gracious enough to come on my show. But the first thing we cover is swag. So we talk about best, worst, and it can be medals, it could be t-shirts, it could be chapstick, it can be the utility drawer in your house is full of all sorts of weird things. What do you have?
I'll start with the best swag that I got from a race. It's like this. After the New York City Marathon, they give out these poncho blanket warmer things. It's really nice. It's not like a thin, like tin foil type of thing. It's an actually like a sewn like really plush type of a cover that they hand out. So I like it because I use it as my car seat cover now. So when I'm all sweaty and nasty after runs, I can sit on that instead of making my seats all nasty. So that I would say it's my favorite piece of swag.
Does New York give that to you? Because if I'm correct, isn't it like when you're done, you have like a ridiculous long walk, run, crawl back to or to get out of the runner's village? I don't know how you would phrase it.
It's horrible. It's like literally a mile to get out of the park, and then you have to find your family. And it really is like mile 27, 28, 29.
No.
It's
All
terrible.
right, your worst.
Okay, my worst swag. I have a drawer full of it. It's just like stuff that I get that I don't want to throw away, but I have no use for it. So it's just been kind of piling up. I think all this like Christmas in July swag, which is very zany and very fun, but like so gaudy and like would never be seen in public, using. It's like a t-shirt that looks like a Hawaiian shirt. I love it, but it's also very useless. But they had a cool medal, which was like, it had like flashing lights on it with the Santa on a surfboard. If you can imagine that. So all of that stuff is a bucket of
First of all,
fun.
I love it, and it's useless. Yeah, there's a lot of things in life we can say about that. Okay, but like, I will admit that it took me like a little while to get rid of like some of the really ridiculous stuff, like like a magnet from a random like American Family agent that I'll never use, or a coupon to anywhere that's expired like 5 years ago. It does. It takes time to weed all of that out. Now you're gonna have to send a picture in of the shirt and offending metal. Okay, so that's swag. Now we talk about advice. And now this could be advice that you've been given, advice you feel is sound to give, although we do give that little disclaimer. Don't come at us for advice. And again, it's best and worst. And you can start with either one.
Okay, I'll start with the best again. So the best advice that I've gotten was when I was in high school running cross country and track. And we had a coach, Coach Gebauer. He always said, why are fish so good at swimming? And it's like, oh. And the answer was because they do it all the time. And that seems like a sort of a silly or obvious answer, but it's like, it makes sense, you can apply towards running. I think the thing that's going to benefit you the most is to just keep running. So really consistency and time are probably the two ingredients that will benefit you the most in the long run, pun intended. So yeah, just keep at it, and year over year, you'll see yourself improve, and have fun with that. No rushing. And then the worst, I think, to sort of like, it's just like any advice that attempts to restrict your food intake, or like something that believes that you have to be at a certain racing weight or something like that. I don't really believe in it, because like if you put in the work in your running and your exercise, your body's naturally gonna go where it needs to go for what you're doing. So there shouldn't be really any like, I don't believe that we should be forcing ourselves to be in some sort of shape or weight that we think we need to be. And that could lead to bad things. If you're running, you should also be eating and, replenishing all that stuff. So if you cut something out, that could really hurt you. So that would be the worst advice that I would not give to others. Yep.
There you go. And what's funny is, so I do these episodes, and Marty edits them. Shout out to Marty. And we kind of learn advice, and we learn what people have been told, that's good or bad. And today at the race, Marty said to me as he was going to go start, he's like, remember, you got to go out fast and die in the middle. Because someone had indicated that they had been told that, of course, as worst advice possible. So, we keep all this stuff in mind now, and, we just use it as fuel. This is going to be funny after actually your race today. So what race distance do you love the most?
For me, generally the longer the race is, the more I like it. I think it's more suited for me. Up to the marathon, I don't do this ultra crazy stuff. Maybe later, like maybe in a few years when I'm like more brave or something like that. But for now, up to the marathon, I like get more as it gets longer. So marathon, then half, then a 10K and whatever. So in that order, that'd be my favorite race.
All right, but and we did do this the other day. What is your least favorite?
My answer is going to be a little different. I think yesterday I said it's the mile, because I'm like, well, that's the shortest race that I run. So, and there's plenty of reasons why, I might not like that as much. But then after today's race, my answer's changed, and my least favorite race is anything on grass. It's horrible. Like, I have such a love-hate relationship with cross country, because it's fun, but it hurts. And then you look at your watch after a mile and you're like, you can't believe your pace was that slow based on how fast you feel like you've been running. And it hurt I was hurting already at like half mile in. So for the next 2.5 miles, it was just like a matter of pain management, like how much can I suffer and I still get to the finish line? That was the whole thing. And I'm still hurting. And again, it's fun, but it's like in that weird type 2 runner kind of a way fun. But it's just so horrible. So yeah, I'm glad it's over. I don't have to do it for another 365 days, and I'm cool with that.
I'm laughing because so what we're describing is a cross-country course that is at an elementary school in Schaumburg. And it's actually, I think it's called McNider Track, or the McNider Course, McNider Park. And that's where the high schools do cross country. And so there's this funky cross country route, but it's terrible. It goes down, it goes up. There's divots. There's something in the middle you got to jump over.
It's cross country.
Okay.
It's like
it is not friendly. I walked it once, and I think it's a matter of it is cross country, and not being familiar with cross country, you're not necessarily expecting like the divots.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of rain last night. But I don't think, I think this may be the first year, because I've now taken pictures for 4 years straight, that somebody did not like twist an ankle
Oh, that's
or
good.
fall. But okay, what about the mile? Just touch on that mile race that you talked about yesterday. Because then I think I like the discussion about that race and how it's set up and the challenges with that.
Yeah, I can do that. The reason why the mile is so hard for me and is because it's like very, very tactical. Like one of the reasons why I like the longer races is because you kind of start off like not that hard. You're still chilling, and like the first half of the race, you're kind of like relaxed, trying to like figure out how you're feeling and all that stuff. And there's time to correct for mistakes. And if you lose 10 seconds in a mile, no big deal. There's none of that in the mile. It's like you lose a second out there because of your positioning, or you're like didn't make the turn smooth enough. Like you're never getting it back. And the whole time you just feel like you're sprinting. And the mile that I race typically is the Chi-Town mile, which crams something like up to 30 guys onto this track at once for 4 laps. So there's just chaos and elbowing and spikes in your face for the majority of the race. So you either run on the outside and get a bunch of extra distance, or you like take spikes in your shins. So it's like chaotic. It's I don't really like that, and I like kind of being relaxed out there. So that's why the mile is hard. But I do it because it's still fun.
I remember what he said yesterday. He was like, I don't like the mile because it's, like pressure from the word go. I like the marathon better because it's so relaxing.
Relatively. No, honestly, like for the first few miles, I'm just talking to the other runners, being like, "Hey, like whatever. What are you going for? Nice weather."
Okay. But, and we won't go really deep into it, but as you find marathons more relaxing, can you please remind me what you ran Chicago in?
Oh, this year I was able to run 2:38 and change, so it was a very good race. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, he had a nice relaxing 2:30.
Only the first few. It's like a slow death after that, though.
Yeah, thank you. Let's give some truth in advertising. All right. So that was favorite swag, advice, and distance. So if you could talk to a famous runner, past or present, who would that person be?
Hmm. I love Sifan Hassan. If you don't know, she's an Ethiopian-born runner running for Netherlands now. She was like a refugee when she was younger or whatever. She got discovered because she's really fast. But first of all, she's very talented. She wins races like in the Olympics, all the way from like the 1500, which is a pretty fast short race, all the way up to the marathon. She got gold this past marathon in the Olympics, and she also ran the 5K, the 10K, and I think the 1500 in the same Olympics. So she's crazy. She's really fast, but at the same time, she's really down to earth and like really funny. Um, when she was running her first marathon, I think it was London, which she won, by the way. In the interview, she's like all like telling them like, yeah, I was talking to myself, and like I think there's something wrong with my brain because I don't know why I would make myself do this, and she kind of like she doesn't take herself too seriously. So I love that. She's like a combination of like insane prowess, but at the same time, still real and approachable. So I like that.
We like relatable people, and
Yes.
it doesn't matter your skill level, because the same training issues, nutrition issues, injury issues, all of that affect any runner of any ability. It doesn't matter if you're a 2:38 marathoner, if you're a 4-hour marathoner, if you're a 6.5-hour marathoner. We all go through the same thing. And sometimes for somebody who is 4 or 5-hour marathoner to hear that the faster people have the same, not issues, that's not the word, but go through some of the same challenges, feelings, I think it connects runners in a different way. We think we're different because our ability levels are so different, but we are the same in more ways that we know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now you have to tell me your favorite race of all time.
I had a really special time in London Marathon, which I ran in 2023, 2022, one of those years. But it was, I'm very partial to London. I don't know why. I think it's like a beautiful city. And I like how people talk over there. And, the race was really good. Like it winds through the city, going through a lot of some of their most like famous landmarks. So you get to see a lot of that. The crowd is wonderful. And they put I had a charity bib on or a vest on that had my name on it, said Dano. So I had like people just going like, let's go Dano, like the whole race, and just really good crowd. Loved the race. So that's something I would definitely want to do again if I had a chance.
Now, interesting question, because you are a 6-star finisher, so you've done all the current majors. And I say current because, hello, Australia.
Yep.
So here's my question. Somebody else was on here and they were talking about Berlin. And they indicated a dramatic difference between the crowd and how supportive they were based on other marathons. What's your take?
So they were saying that the Berlin spectators were more friendly or less friendly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Less friendly.
Okay, that would make a little bit more sense, I think. Yeah, they're definitely not as friendly as Londoners, that's for sure. Nobody is. But Berlin Marathon was good too, but I don't have nearly as many like memories in my head about the race. It was just like a long gray blur, because I think Berlin's just not as pretty as London. Uh, it's a fast race, so it's good for PRing and stuff. But it wasn't as memorable to me, that's for sure. And probably the crowd was part of that,
They indicated, I okay, maybe he was exaggerating a little, but he was comparing Berlin to like Chicago, which there is no comparison when it comes to like crowds. But he was describing people like on the side of the road with like their arms crossed.
They'd probably be like, good. Okay.
And not as like, why are you here?
Yeah, funny story. So after Berlin, I went back to the train station to, take the subway or whatever back to my hotel. And so like people didn't even know what's going on. They were like, "Oh, why?" Because they saw me dressed in like running gear, and he was kind of like looking at me funny, like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I told him I just ran the Berlin Marathon, and I think he asked me like, "What place did you come in?" I was like, "I don't know, like 2000." Like it doesn't like no concept of like that they have one of the world's largest marathons and they're a few blocks away. There's no idea. It was funny.
So I'm gonna refer back to the episode where I brought my sister on for a few minutes, who lives in Boston and has lived in Boston for 25-ish years. I know Boylston Street because of her. And when we talked about the Boston Marathon, her comments were, I see people on the train dressed in tinfoil. I think it's a big deal.
Something like that.
I was like, how am I related to you? I said to her.
It's funny.
All right. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you would like to share or add?
Yes. We got to talk about when we first met / interacted.
How did I skip over that? Yes. What is your first memory of our interaction? How we bonded?
Well, this was right after 4 on the 4th, 2021. Yeah. And as tradition goes, we do a team barbecue afterwards. So we're all gathered, making food. And then we got to talking. We're just mingling, talking. And then you said, "Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm weird." And I was like, "Oh, that's good because I'm weird too." That was like the first thing I remember you saying to me. And the rest is history.
Of course, I will. I remember things a tad bit different. I mean, I probably did. I did exactly that. Now, because that was your first 4 on the 4th with Fast Track.
Yeah.
And we do have this big barbecue every year. That was actually my second barbecue with them. We did it in 2019. And of course, in 2020, there was no race.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been doing it for years. And their tradition is to bring food. And so you all can start eating, like 8:30 in the morning, which I still don't understand. And that year, someone had brought 14, there got to be, they were like 14-inch long hot dogs. And Jonathan was grilling them. And there's no way I can let 14-inch long hot dogs go without making some type of remark. Yes. And I do, if I'm not mistaken, I actually have a picture of you shoving one in your mouth. So
of course.
I have that. But I said, I did make a comment and you joined right in. And Jonathan literally said, like, he's one of us. I was like, that's perfect. Because
I can't pass up good hot dog jokes. Come on now.
Oh my God. And, well, it continues year to year too. And I know the number of the finest funny is dwindling, but long live the hot dog jokes.
Oh yeah. I'll be 75 and making hot dog jokes. Don't worry.
With your little walker. You'd be in your little walker making a hot dog joke. All right. Dan, thank you so much for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to hope 2's the charm. If not, then 3's going to be the charm.
Sure.
And I may have you back on in the future anyway.
Okay. I'd love to be there again.
Thank you all so much for listening. And as always, stay safe out there.
Bye, all.
Wait, where are the balloons? Oh, the balloons aren't going to come up today. Really?
Maybe if I wave harder. Goodbye.
Oh, my goodness. All right.